Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. And today we are here to talk about The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 6, Episode 7, Gossip Girl. Alright, let's talk about it. Alright, so the episode opens with the chef there cooking breakfast. All the ladies are getting ready to come over to have breakfast, I assume, before they go swimming. And Giselle asks Candace how did she sleep, and she said that she didn't really get to sleep. So Candace says that she was looking over some new choreography. And then they just start eating because Giselle asked the chef if she could make her some pancakes with crispy sides, and the chef says yes. So when she gives it to her, they just start eating. And Candace is like, oh, we're so rude, we're eating before they get here. And then we pan to the other ladies, Wendy, Ascala, and Karen, and they can't get their little golf cart to work. So Giselle tells Robin that Mia told her that Karen was upset because she called her a troll. And Mia says, well, if you were called a troll, you would be upset too. And Robin says, well, no, not if you're not. And then Giselle says, screw Karen, up the butt. And then the other ladies arrive. Again, over Karen and Giselle thing. I'm just over it. The other ladies make it in, and Wendy comes doing her grand entrance again, showing her body. And I'm just like, girl, I understand she's trying to prove a point today because she says that Karen had a point that she's not going to change who she is for them. So she went and put on this really skimpy swimsuit and cover up. But it's just the whole entrance thing and all that. I'm tired of it. Why do you keep doing that? And not to mention, everything is hanging out. You're here with a bunch of women. Again, I don't understand why all these women are showing goodies to other women. Like, they should not care about seeing your goodies. Ugh, you guys, and then these rude broads, and I'm sorry, I'm just probably going to go off on a tangent about Giselle and Robin on this episode, especially Robin, but we'll keep it where it is right now. And they get up, and Giselle says, oh, Robin, we have that meeting. We probably should take it in my room. And they take their food, and Candace is like, where they go? Why they got to take a secret meeting? And the scholar's like, oh, they're probably talking about the swim class and everything. And Candace touches her and says, oh, okay, sweetie, you're so naive. Oh, why? That's so rude. It's so rude. It's ridiculous. Why even come on the trip if you are not trying to be around everybody? What's the point? I just think that's so goddamn rude. So Karen tells Candace that she's just going to be transparent and tell her that she had an issue with the things that Giselle was saying about her marriage, and she just thought it was not cool. Candace says, you know what, I've just come to the realization that Giselle is not capable of couth 24 hours a day. So basically she's learned to just put up with her being an asshole. And Mia chimes in. She's like, typically when something is wrong on the inside, people project that on the outside. And Karen says, you hit it right on the head. So we actually find out that Giselle is still on one. Giselle is still on this let me tell you about your life tour. I swear to God, she act like everything in her life, especially relationships, are just 100% golden. Why does she assume that she can tell all these people what to do with their lives? It's unreal. So she took Robin upstairs and she's like, I didn't want to tell you this in front of the group. I don't understand when people say in front the anything. It's in front of. Where's the of? But okay. And so she just tells her, about you can't have your fine husband telling you that you're unattractive. And how many times is Giselle going to let everybody know that she thinks Juan is fine? She said something about a few seasons ago that she would, get with him if they were trading off or something like that. I can't remember, but it was something inappropriate. Well, I was like, well, damn, girl. So yeah, basically she's like, so you have to be motivated. And Robin says, well, I don't see in myself what everybody else sees. She can't see herself being a mogul, which is pretty sad. Like, she can't see herself being successful. So Giselle says she's just giving Robin tough love, basically. And she's only doing it because she wants her to succeed. And if she doesn't do it, then she's not being a good friend. So Robin says that, she just has a fear of basically failing again. And then they do the flashback of when she was explaining how they had the money. A friend of theirs was ripping them off, and then they had no money. And she was saying how she was trying to do little focus groups and everything to just get $100 to, buy groceries. And she said that, her kids never knew that the house was foreclosed on and everything. So she's just scared of failing again, basically. This fool then says she has companies like Macy's, TJ Maxx, and everything reaching out for her hats, and she doesn't respond. And Giselle is just like, I could strangle you, and I could too because, Robin, ugh. All right, so we get to this swim scene and find out that Wendy can't really swim, basically. It's all that we really got out of it. And the fact that Karen is wearing a swimsuit with a red cover up. I'm not sure what color her swimsuit is because she was covered up. But I do know she had on these either cream or white knee-high boots. And, no, not Wendy, Karen. I didn't like it. I see what she, I guess, was trying to do, but I didn't like it because it didn't look like the heel was very high on the boots. So you can't come with some kitten heels and thigh high boots. So Ashley arrives and she's explaining how, last time when she just had Dean, she didn't want to leave him because, it was her first and her only kid. And now that she has two, she has no problem leaving and actually enjoying herself. So Mia tells her that she looks great and, she's surprised she's there, but she's glad she's there, but she looks great. So Ashley lets us know that she encapsulated her placenta and she has been taking the pills and she feels great. So good for her. So she asks what's been going on, and Karen proceeds to fill her in and let her know that she has been the target of Giselle's attacks. However, she survived. She called it a failed coup attempt. And she said the outfit that she had on is her Wonder Woman outfit. And I'm like, girl, put it back. I wonder why this woman is wearing this. So Karen tells her how Giselle was pretty much aiming at everyone, and she moved on down to even her good friend Robin. And then she got to Wendy and told her that she likes substance. And Ashley says, that just doesn't sound like my friend. And I'm like, what friend is that? Because that sounds exactly like Giselle. And she says, Karen, tells the truth. And then she says, well, sometimes. She says, but when it comes to Giselle, she has been known to embellish. Yeah, we'll just say embellish. So now Ashley and Giselle go and take a tour, and while on the tour, they sit down in Giselle's room and they talk, and she's asking her what the heck happened. And, Giselle is like, I wasn't, bashing anyone. And yeah, she was. But she's just saying that, we're just saying that Wendy is completely and totally different than how she was before. We're just basically talking about how, her behavior has changed. And Ashley agrees and says that's valid because last year all she kept pressing was this professor thing, and now this year it's something completely and totally different. So then Ashley lies and says, Karen says she cried in her arms this morning. And while Karen did tell her that she cried, and she did put 20 on 10 where she was just like, oh, and she was just so upset and she just cried. She didn't say she cried in her arms. Giselle says that's her own internal BS. So they both agreed to talk to Wendy at lunch about the rumors that's out there because, again, Giselle is feeling like she is overcompensating due to the rumor about Eddie cheating. All right, so at lunch we get down to it. Ashley asks Ascala, how things are going. She says, oh, it was good except for a little mishap at dinner. So Ashley says, yeah, the way it was described to me, Giselle just came in there pretty much swinging. And Giselle says, yeah, Wendy, are we good? And Wendy's like, yeah, I was going to talk to you later, but, the comment that you made to me about having substance last year and this year not knowing who I am, yeah, it hurt me. And she said that, I feel like you're body shaming. And because I always have my boobs out or something, she said. And Giselle's like, I never said that. Yeah, I think body shaming is a reach. Nobody's body shaming you. We're saying put those things away, basically. We know what boobs look like. We have them. We don't need to see yours each and every time. Not to mention every time you walk into a room, it's not always your show. It's not always, oh, let's see what body parts Wendy is showing now. I understand what Giselle is saying. I don't agree with how she goes about doing everything, but I understand and I agree with what she's saying. Everybody's pretty much saying, yeah, it's totally different. The way she's acting is completely different. But maybe they just need to drop it because it's none of Giselle's business the reason why. So Wendy then gets to talking about how other people have kind of dealt with her in the past, and Giselle's like, "That's your shit. That's not my shit." And she's like, "Yeah, that's true. That is my shit." And she's like, "Well, why are you putting it off on me?" And again, she tells her, "The comment that you made was really hurtful." And Mia chimes in, "Oh, that would be the only thing that I have to co-sign on." And then Ascala says, "I'm not gonna lie, I just felt like I was on Interrogation Island." And I'm just like, Ascala, shut up. So Giselle says, "Listen, if you got offended by anything that I said, I apologize. That was not my intention. That's not what I meant to do." And to me, it seemed kind of sincere to me, but Wendy was just staring at her with this scowl on her face. And in her confessional, she says that her apology was not sincere. I mean, I guess you never can tell when Giselle is being sincere, but yeah. You guys, and in the funniest part of the episode, Ashley says, "Well, did you cry? Because Karen said you were crying." And I'm like, she is making it a point to keep talking about this girl crying. And Wendy says, "Yes, me and Karen had a talk and she poured into me." And she says, and it was just really special. And she starts getting all choked up. And Karen says, "You're welcome." And oh my God, the looks on these girls' faces. Candace is looking like, what the fuck? Ashley, just like, it is hilarious to me. And Giselle said exactly what I was thinking. This was Karen and Candace. So you better watch your back because she will have your back until she doesn't, basically. And I like Karen, but I do feel like, she kind of played Candace dirty. Because, of course, I was Team Candace last year. So it is what it is. Yeah, then Robin comes down late. She's being late Robin again, like very late, to the point where they had to order for her. And she has on this black, uh, puffy sleeved with the little things on it. Um, it was sheer. It's something that for sure I had a dress like that when I was turning, I think, 21. So what she's doing wearing it now, I have no idea. But her and Giselle are like what and what with the fashions for me. I'm sorry. So Robin asks, what she missed, and of course they let her know about Wendy having an issue with what Giselle said. And she's like, okay. And then Mia chimes in and she says, in Giselle's defense, Wendy says, "You love a good defense." And she says something off the wall about if you come in dressed a certain way, then people will judge you. So I know what she was going for, or something she was saying. And even Giselle was looking like, what are you saying? She was trying to defend Giselle, but yeah, she pretty much just could have kept it to herself. So Wendy then starts saying this is why people don't want to tell when they have plastic surgery, because then people start talking about them and saying stuff. And then Ashley is like, "No, Wendy, that's not true. That is not what this is about." And Wendy's trying to overtalk her, and then everybody else is trying to talk. And Ashley is just like, "No, we're talking about your behavior. We're not talking about your body." Y'all, Candace says Ashley's breast pump in her forehead just got here. When I tell y'all I died, she said, "Why is she even inserting herself?" Oh my God, her breast pump in her forehead. Oh my God, you guys, I think it was so funny to me because I never realized how big Ashley's forehead was until she made that comment, and now I can't stop looking at it. But back to the fight. So Wendy is trying to explain something. Robin chimes in and they start talking over each other. Wendy's like, "I'm not going to talk over you." And Robin's like, "Why are you cutting me off?" She's like, "I'm not cutting you off." "Yes, you are cutting me off. Just stupid stuff." So Giselle tells her, "You talk like we're on CNN and everything is combative." And when she says that, Wendy picks up her phone and starts looking at it. And then the camera pans to Robin, who is very irritated. But she listen, you cannot disrespect Giselle in front of her road dog Pam. That's what we're gonna call Robin. She is a bulldog for Giselle. So when we come back from the break, we have Robin telling Wendy, yeah, she's talking to you. You're not even looking at her. You're not paying no attention. You're on the phone. Wendy said something about confirming. When she said CNN, it made her confirm that her TV show, she's doing it. Wendy's like, all right. Robin's like, all right, Wendy. And then at this time, Giselle is like, I just won't bring anything to you again. I won't say anything. And I'm like, good. Y'all, then Mia chimes in and she says, "Listen, the girls are talking and you had a whole thong hanging out of your butt yesterday on the bus." And she's like, "That was an outfit from Zara." And she's like, "Well, Victoria's Secret makes outfits too, but we're not wearing them on the bus." And you guys, I liked Mia. I liked her, but right now I just feel like these people are inserting themselves and chiming in when they should just shut up. Like, it costs nothing to just shut up. You are not in the argument. Just hush up. Yes, she looked a mess, but we don't need Mia to tell her. So Wendy tells Mia, you have this whole past, and I never judged you for being a stripper. She says, I wasn't a stripper, I was an entertainer. And then we go through this whole montage of how she did end up saying she was a stripper. And in her confessional, she says, no, she was trying to make money and she would show her goodies, but she wasn't a stripper. But then when they flash back to when they were in the spa, she says, yeah, she became a stripper. So, but she says, I worked in a restaurant where they served steak and lobster, and Candace starts laughing. All right, so I've decided that Mia is a liar, just like Karen. So they can run away and be best friends because they both lie. So in her confessional, Candace says, girl, you were a lady of the night with your big old feet. And then the producers try to go under the table to show her feet, which we couldn't see nothing. And I'm like, y'all couldn't get a shot of her feet at some other point and just insert it? Yeah. So then we get into a real weird space with Wendy saying something about Eddie, her fine chocolate husband, and the fact that he says, if you're happy, then, it's great. And she says, Eddie wins. And she's about to cry. And Candace is trying to hand her little folded up napkin. She don't want that, Candace. Don't nobody do that but you. Not to mention, these were not real tears. She doesn't need it. But it was just so weird. So Robin tells Wendy, listen, we just won't tell you anything or bring anything to you anymore. It's fine. And Wendy says, you are being hella judgmental. And then Candace says, if we're being judgmental right now, Giselle and her fashions would be under the jail. And she says, why can't we just all get along? And I'm like, what? What prompted that? Leave Giselle and her little tie-dye hoodie and big red shoes alone. So then Giselle and Ashley step away from the table to talk about who's gonna tell her. And Ashley says, listen, I just feel like maybe it would be best if I say something. And Giselle in her confessional is like, yeah, because Ashley always has stuff about her husband in the tabloids, so maybe it's best that she tell her. And I'm like, even when you working with somebody, Giselle, you're throwing shade. Girl. And my whole thing is, I don't understand why anyone has to tell her anything. So the girls arrive back to the main house and they're gonna freshen up for the whiskey tasting. And the guys are coming in about 30 minutes. And as they're walking in, Giselle almost falls on her big old red gym shoes. And Wendy is saying how, she just wants her friends to kind of rally around her and be supportive and let her be her. And she's not getting that from this group. And I'm like, that's because this group is not they're not your friends. They're your coworkers. So. And then they all go in and they close the door and Mia and Escala are locked out. And when I tell you, I got my life. I got my life. And they had to knock and they're like, why does this keep happening? And then Mia goes in and she doesn't hold the door open for Escala. And then Escala is like, hello. And I'm like, girl, that's because you're not supposed to be here. Who are you? So the man is there to do the whiskey tasting and he's bringing things in and the ladies sit around the couch and Robin comes down in a robe. She looks a hot mess. Oh, Robin looks a mess. And I don't know what will possess her to come down in a robe. It wasn't until later that I saw she had on like some jean shorts and a shirt up under it, but she still just looked a mess. You have people come into the house and this is how you choose to look? Oh, Robin, oh. So finally the whiskey man gets there and Candace says, listen, I'm glad he's here. She's like, because, I'm tired of talking about Wendy's titties. She says, drink these drinks and be quiet. And I'm like, girl, I'm with you because I am over this conversation. All right, so the women are at they're having their whiskey or yeah, it's whiskey. And they have flights or whatever. And I think it looks like, what, 5 drinks or so. And Robin is putting them back and they're encouraging her. And then on top of that, they have another drink to go along with that. And I'm like, Robin already told y'all that during this pandemic, she started drinking at what, 11 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous like that. So don't play with Robin and these drinks. All right, so Ashley's about to go and she gets up and she goes to Wendy and she says, Wendy, I'm about to leave, but before I do you mind stepping outside with me? Wendy says, oh God, Ashley, what is it? And she's like, can you step outside with me? And then of course, Candace, who is always left in the dark, she's like, where them hoes going? And Giselle's like, Ashley's leaving, so if she has something to say to Wendy, then let her say something to Wendy. So Ashley says that, she feels like they have something in common because, they have the commonality of someone coming for their marriage. And she really did appreciate it when Giselle and them told her, they pulled her to the side and told her about her marriage. She appreciated that. So she feels like this could bring her and Wendy closer. And I'm like, it's not. So Ashley tells her, listen, I wasn't at the dinner last night or anything, but me and Giselle did discuss the fact that, there is this article that's going around, a fabricated article saying that, Eddie could be cheating, and we were just wondering if that's the reason why, you are being very sexual just to show people that, no, we're good over here. And Wendy says, you know what? I'm not talking about this. She says, and I would like to thank you for taking this time to attack my marriage. And this is foul, you guys. And this is what she means. Last year, I don't like Monique. Period. I don't like Monique. But she did a sit down with her husband where she was saying that Giselle and them had planned on attacking her and coming for her husband and her marriage. And just the mere mention of something going on in your marriage on the TV screen is pretty much putting it out there. So this is exactly what they're doing to Wendy. If you don't believe it and you think there's no merit or nothing to it, why are you putting it out there? Because this is going everywhere. Like, everybody's going to see this, and then everybody's going to start looking into it and maybe thinking about it as well. So this is them being foul and putting it out there. So I wasn't mad at Wendy for the way she reacted. So Wendy then tells Ashley that she thinks it's laughable, that you are the one bringing this to me. And she explains that if Giselle was supposed to be her friend and she really thought that this was the issue, then she would have said something to her as opposed to going to Ashley. And Ashley's like, well, you guys were, it was fractured. You were hurt last night. She says, well, she didn't know that I was hurt until this morning. So last night, to her, we were fine and she could have mentioned it. And Ashley says, yeah, that's fair. And my whole thing is, I don't think she would have taken it well from Giselle either, because no matter who's bringing it up on camera, they're bringing it up on camera, period. So Wendy tells Ashley that she believes Giselle is the spawn of the devil. And she says, you all chose to bring up my marriage, and that speaks a lot about your character. She says, but if that's what we're doing, let's have at it. And she gets up. And I'm like, go get them. And y'all know I don't even see it for Wendy. But what they're doing, I get what they're doing. Wendy and Ashley go back inside where Robin is standing in her robe and house shoes doing some kind of disgusting twerk. She looks stupid and they're egging her on. And I'm like, how are you guys talking about Wendy twerking? And like, they're just so hypocritical. They're just so stupid. So Wendy says, okay, while we're all twerking, I would like to say something about what I just found out. She said, yeah, Ashley told me that there's been discussions about a blog and, somebody having something to say about my husband. And they're all like, who? Who said that? And when she said she wants to have a talk, Candace was like, oh, Lord. She said, oh, dear. And so she's going around and they're like, who said something about your husband? She's like, I don't know. Was it you? Was it you? Was it you? And then she points to Giselle and Giselle's like, why are you looking at me? And she's like, because your name was definitely in it. So Wendy says, I'm looking at you because it was your ass that had the conversation with Ashley. And she turns to Ashley and says, did you tell her what I said? And Ashley says, yeah, I tell her that we didn't believe it. And she says, listen, I'm putting you on notice that what you're not going to do is play with my husband's name. Giselle is sitting there trying to act unbothered while she's drinking her little drink, and she says, "I'm saying it to you kindly." She says, I don't care if you say it to me meanly." And I'm like, Giselle, come again, come again. Wendy then says, "Don't get your ass whooped." And Giselle says, "Okay, Wendy. Okay, Wendy." Wendy's like, "Don't F with me." And then they show Ashley and Robin looking confused. Like, of course, they're looking mad, especially Robin. Robin is looking like she could just go over there and strangle her. She could just scratch her eyes out because what are you doing talking to Giselle like that? So Giselle says, "Listen, I told her right here, and I'm telling you, I don't believe it. So I don't know why you're so mad." And she's like, listen, I don't care about these cameras. I'm telling you right now, if you talk about my husband, you talk about me." And Giselle is like, "I don't believe it. So what is your deal?" So then, of course, we have Robin. And y'all, Robin just look nasty. Her legs are wide open. She has this robe on. She is slumped all down in the couch, legs cocked open, talking about, "What was that about Eddie?" As if she doesn't know. That's so irritating. You've already had the conversation with Giselle. So Wendy says, "Don't ask me, ask your friend. She's going to bring it back to you." But girl, she already knows. Trust. So then, of course, Robin takes this as her chance to, basically, like Wendy said, get a moment. So she's acting so mad. "You came in here talking all this stuff, so I'm asking you." And Wendy's like, "Girl, you're trying to get a moment so bad." And Robin's like, "Moment? I don't need no moment." And I'm like, "You obviously do because you're putting on. Like, and you're not even really involved in this." So y'all, Robin irritated me to no end on this episode. Number one, because she looked nasty. And then she started doing something like she was, I don't even want to say, but it was nasty. Robin is just really nasty. Yeah, she tells her to go F herself. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll go F myself." And she starts simulating like she's doing it. And I'm just like, she's just nasty. And Wendy says, "Yeah, with your stinky breath." And I'm like, "Oh," and everybody looked down. So I'm like, "Oh, it's got to be true. That's got to be true." And she tells her that, you don't have a relationship. That's why you're mad. So Mia chimes in, "You can't say she doesn't have a relationship, and she does." And I'm like, "Shut up, Mia." So Ashley does actually apologize to Wendy, and she says, "Listen, I would never, come to you just try to upset you. I was just trying to help you out. I'm not trying to attack your family. I would never do that." And then Mia says, "I don't know, Ashley. I don't know. If she was the one who told you, then she should have told her." And again, Mia, shut up. So then Giselle says something, you guys. I don't know. It was a lot of back and forth. And the only thing that was really getting the music was when Wendy was giving all her threats and stuff out. And she says the only reason why she's doing all this is because she doesn't have a husband or anything of her own. She ends up saying that she see her for everything that everyone said about her. She tells her that she is just miserable, and she gives this whole thing about, "You are living the life," basically karma, and that's why she pretty much has no life right now. You're living the life that you deserve, and that is coming back on you. So Wendy just gave a whole lot of different speeches where she was coming at Giselle, and all right, it's deserved. Yeah, that's what she said. That the life she's living now is God paying her back, and it was just hilarious because when she said that, Karen did her hands like, "Oh Jesus, that is true." Like she was getting her life from Wendy letting her have it. Okay, so then Wendy starts going in saying, "Just imagine having this man who cheats on you constantly, and you keep taking him back and you bring him around your daughters. Do you understand how much or how low your self esteem has to be to do that?" And Robin, with her dumb ass, "Who's she talking about?" You already knew who she was talking about. And they're like, "Jamal." So yeah, Wendy got her shit off. Okay. All right, that's it. So, thank you for being here. We will pick up next week. It was very explosive. It was, but it was just so much that it was giving me anxiety to try to do the review because I want to say exactly what was said, but it was so much being said. So, if you are still here, thank you so much. You are my real MVP. I appreciate you. And please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next video. Smooches.